Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word. Everton 0, Manchester United 2. It's a stripped back version. It's basically the equivalent of the game. You know, thought like if they're not going to have a go, we're not going to have a go. No, it's like basically Christmas Eve now, and you know, we thought it's Christmas. We can't be spending our time in the studio when we can easily just do this. So Baz has got a bag of nuts and a box of After Eights, and he's about and some Baileys, and he's going to smash it.
Baileys are there. The Baileys on ice is ready to go.
That was crap, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It was disappointing, wasn't it? It was a game that looked as though the players were knackered in. The crowd, you know, although they tried their best, they didn't seem to be able to energise the players enough.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that I took away from it really was just the difference in the quality of the squads.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, Man United make 9 changes and their team still looked like a team that could finish in the top 6. You know, we've the bench, they're bringing on Martial and Rashford, and we're bringing on Tosin. And that to me was the biggest marker of anything else, of the difference in the quality of the squads, really.
Yeah. No, I've said that in my after-match reaction. You look at the starting 11, you know, obviously he said he was going to change the goalkeeper. He brought Olsen in. He brought Seamus Coleman back, which no real surprise by that. But I was a little bit surprised by starting with Gomez and Gylfi Sigurdsson, because I just thought, I feel sorry for Decore's legs. Yeah. Because simply he would have to do all their running, really, and that's how it proved to be. And it's the squad, isn't it? You know, when it's great being tough and getting through games and celebrating the 3 wins where really we've dug in and we've worked really hard, and but it takes a toll. It takes a toll, doesn't it? And if you haven't got the squad and you haven't got the players on the bench, it'll come back to haunt you. Man United changed 9 players tonight, and you could see the freshness, and they were all still quality, weren't they? They're all still quality players. Whereas ours, we haven't been able to really change anyone apart from a couple of players, and we looked like it. We looked really jaded, really tired. Players just couldn't go that extra bit, and you know, you look at that at first 20 minutes. Jesus Christ, how we escaped that first 20 minutes without conceding, I'll never know. It was like the Alamo. They threw everything at us, but a lot of it was just down to our own sloppiness and our own inability to get into the game.
Yeah, I said that on my match reaction at the opening 25 minutes of the game. They just bossed it, didn't they?
Yeah.
They just looked, like you've just said there, they looked more energetic than us, they looked sharper than us. And it was some of the problems were us just giving the ball away, and players who, like Ben Godfrey's been excellent, and I thought he was decent again tonight, but just a couple of times in that first 25 minutes, one he tried to let run out and the lads kept it in, and you know, it wasn't decisive enough. Another one, he's under-hit a pass, and that was a theme in that opening 20 minutes. Nobody could pass a ball. Gomez was under it and everything. Sigurdsson, every one of them done it, and United were all over us, and their freshness really put us on the back foot. And it was a bit embarrassing, really, the opening 20 minutes, because we just couldn't get out of our half. And you're absolutely right. It was a little bit by hook and a little bit by crook that we didn't concede, wasn't it? And you know, Olsen's made a couple of good saves.
Yeah.
But even he was at it.
Yeah, he made that.
Tried to turn and it hit his shin, and he ended up having to put a tackle in. But I thought once we got through the first 25 minutes, the game settled down then, and I guess from that point on, Everton nullified them. Really didn't really have anything after that of any note. So if you're looking for, you know, you probably should always try to take a positive out of every game. So if you're looking for any kind of positive, the fact that it stayed so tight until the last minute or so, it's testament to Everton's being able to put a structure in place and work to that and nullify them. And they got away with a couple. Don't forget, you know, Bruno Fernandes, couple of nasty challenges.
But
which VAR would have come in.
Yeah, I'll come on to that. You know. But no, like, yeah, we got through that. I mean, it's funny because you just mentioned there, it was just so early on, you could see almost players straight away being really lethargic in their play, and it coming across like not just what they did in terms of their body, but their mind, like really slow at reacting to things and seeing things that normally in the last few games we'd see early. And I don't know whether it was because there was almost like a change of emphasis with just a couple of players, not having that holding midfielder, not having, you know, Holgate at right back and having the right back suddenly was going to start attacking, and just sort of playing out from the back, knowing they were going to play in a counter attack. I think that just, I don't know if that change of emphasis hit some of the players. And you know, you're right. Funny, no, Olsen, I've just done the player ratings and I did it live, and I've seen a couple of people having a go at Olsen, but he kept us in that game in the first 20 minutes. He made a couple of really important saves that, you know, I'm not saying Jordan Pickford wouldn't have made those saves, by the way, not at all. But I'm just saying he made that mistake, yeah, and that was bad, obviously. But he made a couple of really important saves that kept us in the game. And you're right, it settled down, and sadly it settled down, but we never really grew into the game with numbers. And again, I look at that again and think the lack of ability to add players going forward is a real issue at times. I mean, it's, you know, we've got through the last 3 games through defensive ability and nicking goals, and that's not always going to be there. And we didn't, you know, when you're lacking players and you're looking for those solutions, that solution I thought just wasn't there tonight. We never looked like we were going to nick a goal. We never looked like we were going to get that little bit of luck we've had in the last few games where we've grabbed the goal out of something or off a set piece. United looked like they were a little bit too smart for that, or at that, the hindsight of the 3 games, or they'd scouted the 3 games and seen where we'd nick goals. They really done a number on Dom for a lot of the time, you know, putting a couple of players on him, and it stopped us just getting any momentum when we did get going forward. And really, we were at some points we were massively relying on Sigurdsson, and you know, when he had the ball at his feet, and if you're massively relying on Sigurdsson, then you know you've got a few problems, really.
Yeah, I gave him man of the match.
No, I thought he played well, but
for the simple reason that what I said was, I think, like, I thought Coleman done all right on his comeback. I thought defensively we were okay. I thought Keane and Mina were fine, Olsen, but I thought the only way we looked like we'd do anything offensively was from the foot of Gylfi Sigurdsson. I thought Richarlison was poor.
He was poor, again.
And obviously ended up going off injured. And Iwobi, I thought, worked really hard, but offensively was just sloppy at times when he'd kind of do the hard stuff. And then when it became time to play that simple pass, he'd complicate it or try something else that wasn't on. And I found that more frustrating than anything in the final third. We did it 3, 4, 5 times in the second half. Players would do the hard work. Like Sigurdsson done one where he battled with Pogba and he got away from him. And instead of just playing it, popping a simple ball off, he tried to turn him again, lost it, and they hit us on the counter-attack. And, you know, we've seen it with Cenk Tosun at the end for the second goal. You know, there's 6 men to pass it and he hit it to the only United players. So, you know, it was frustrating like that. But it was. And I understand why the manager did it. We were talking, I don't know whether it was yesterday on the Christmas show or whether it was today on our live show. We were talking about, like, do we go strong with the lineup? And you were saying, well, when does he change it then if it isn't tonight? And you can see that.
Yeah.
And it's just frustrating because when we do change it, we are at that situation at the moment where the players who come in aren't at the same level as the other players, and therefore we aren't like Manchester United. We drop considerably, and that's not. You know what that might be as well? Just lads who aren't used to playing. We've seen with Iwobi, the fact he's had 5, 6 games now. He's looking like he's at it and he knows what he's doing. But when he was coming in once and going out again, he looks like Bernard now. Bernard got nice little tricks, doesn't go anywhere because confidence isn't there, so he passes it back. Yeah. And that to me was the biggest issue tonight.
Well, I said that the other day about Tom Davies coming into the side, and again you get all the same noises about when Tom Davies comes into the side. What does he do? He's a joke. He's a championship player. I see all the comments, but it was so evident that midfield needed him tonight, whether you like him or not. just the fact that he knows how to sit in front of a back four and be a thing. Literally just be a thing, do you know what I mean? Just stand there and be a thing. Whereas Andre Gomez has just lost any semblance of being of understanding what his one role is in the team. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, do you know when he first came in and he was like this? He wasn't a box-to-box midfielder. He'd get on the ball and he'd use his strength and he'd manoeuvre people around and he'd play a nice little pass and then he'd get up the pitch a little bit and, you know, kept on just playing in sort of every 10-15 yards. We now are watching him and listen, you know, he's had a terrible injury and I appreciate that. But this was coming in before he got the injury, let's be honest. This, you know, in the second season, we've so many times we said this, the way he plays his own game, like he plays in this little box where he doesn't think anyone can touch him or anyone can take the ball off him, and that was so evident tonight. The way people run past them is, you know, and that when you're watching him and Sigurdsson, you just think there's no way you can get away with both of them being on the pitch, and that's no disrespect to Gylfi. Gylfi's, you know, playing now in his 30s and you're only going to get so much from him. You know, it's only a few weeks ago that we were bemoaning, and you're right again, Gylfi might be the type of player that does need 4, 5, 6 games to get up to speed with the Premier League. And it might be the same for Andre Gomez, but I still don't think you can get away with both of them. And it's just crying out for some dynamism in that midfield. And of course, we're missing Allen. And beyond that, there's very little else. And I felt sorry for Decore tonight because he wasn't involved in anything because it was hard for him to just get going and do one particular thing. It was like he was having to cover everybody else.
He was everywhere.
Exactly.
There was one in the second half where he went and pressed the throw in, the centre back, and then the goalie. And I'm thinking, that's not your job.
Yeah.
Your job isn't to run 50 yards to do everybody's pressing. But because nobody else was doing it, he thought he had to go and do it. And I think you're right with the Tom Davies thing. Listen, there's people who don't like him, and I understand it, fine. I understand it. Everyone's got an opinion, that's fine. But it's like we've said a lot of times, and I see this with other clubs. And I was talking to Kane, who'd been a match before, and he was like, obviously, he was devastated. And, you know, he's like, I've seen worse teams than us win this cup, why can't we ever do it? But the reason is, a lot of those teams who are worse than us have a framework. Yeah. And you look at players and go, I wouldn't have James McCarthy in the midfield forever. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But he plays for Palace, and they say he's really important. The job he does. Now, some fans are like him, some won't. There's players. People said for years about Jordan Henderson, wouldn't have him at Everton, he's crap, he's this, he's that. They all fill a role in a team. Tom Davies doesn't get in our best 11. Everyone would agree that. We know that. But we haven't got Allen at the moment. And, you know, just going back on your so Davies is probably the closest player who can do that job.
Exactly.
Delph's never fit, so you can't look at him. Gabamon, see Delph. So therefore, if you look at Davies, he's the only one who can go in there. And what you're saying about Andre Gomez is right. When he came in, he had Garner putting everything out behind him. So he didn't have to worry about that. He didn't have to care about what was going on behind him because Garner mopped it all up. So he was the midfielder who got on the ball and took it right and took it left and popped it off and got it back. And it was great because we didn't have that. So he was a real difference. Yeah. Plus, he had that confidence to go by players. At the moment, he's suffering with a massive lack of confidence. You can see that. That's why he's trying to force everything. That's why it's not on. You know, and then we've got the situation where he physically, for whatever reason, he ain't at the level he was before the injury. And it might take him another 6 months to get there. I don't know. He might never get there. We don't know, do we? But just right now, you're absolutely spot on. A midfield that has him and Gylfi in it ain't going to function against people who can run up and down. Now, you looked at Gylfi Sigurdsson, like I've just said, I thought he was our most creative player, which is why I thought he was the man of the match. But you look at the direct comparison with Bruno Fernandes for them. Exactly, a lot younger, more mobile, dangerous. Snide, but the Snyder side, and he is a Snyder, he's got all of that other stuff. He pops into gaps. Now, okay, second half, Everton did a good number on him. He went out the game early. He totally went out the game. But he'd shown enough by making those runs that he'd worried us, so we dropped deeper and deeper. Where we didn't have that. We had Sigurdsson. If you looked at it tonight, I'm saying this to my dad early on, we were playing basically a 4-4-2. Sigurdsson was up front alongside Calvert-Lewin, not just trying to throw a 4-4-1-1. But they had the 3 men in midfield and we couldn't get near them because there wasn't the mobility in that midfield to get near them.
Yeah, and you're right what you say there, because they're bringing like Paul Pogba into their midfield. As coming off the bench, he's playing tonight. We don't have anybody, and I'm not blaming anyone because the replacements are. Don't forget, we finished the season with our centre midfield of like Tom Davies, Gylfi Sigurdsson, and Andre Gomes. Just the 3 of them going round in circles, rotating, playing in a 4-4-2. We've brought in obviously Decore and Allen, as you mentioned. Dean Delph doesn't play, and Gabam, who knows when he'll be back. So now we need to go out and buy just players who, are potentially better than Allen, who are potentially better than Decore, or on the same level. So you've got that competition. So when you haven't got Allen, you've got a like for like, or at least go into the 23s and try to grab someone, and maybe that person's not. I mean, we hear names all the time, and maybe that person's not ready quite yet. But let's hope that player gets fast tracked into the squad so they can be the next one. So that when we're looking for the next one, we've got the next one there who can physically do the job. Alan Decore, because at the moment, like you're saying, it's Gomez, and Sigurdsson, and then don't know who you look. Maybe after that, whether Iwobi can be groomed for that sort of central position. But we just simply lack the numbers in the squad. You look at the bench, and you're not, a team that brings on Tom Davies, Tosin, and Bernard. What are they going to do to change a game of football what makes it worse is when it's 0-0 in the second half and you've still got a chance of winning the game. Like, do you know what I mean? That's that's the desperation, isn't it? It's like they're going to win the game. They bring Martial on. They bring Rashford on. Luke Shaw. I mean, everyone wants to bring on Luke Shaw when you want a game of football. But that's ultimately the difference, isn't it? That's where we are right now. And I feel the same about that as I did before the last 3 wins. You asked me after the Burnley game, you said, well, what are your thoughts on that? My thoughts were, we need to go and buy players. We need to give this manager better players. And it's exactly the same thoughts now. This squad is only going to get to a final of a Carabao Cup if all its players are fit, if Dean's fit, if Allen's fit, and James Rodriguez, still technically one of the best players in the world, not available for tonight. No one even mentions that. We're so quick to talk about the players who are on the pitch. We're not talking about the players who are on the pitch, the players who could have come on, at least have made a difference tonight, like James Rodriguez for the last... Imagine if we brought James Rodriguez on for the last 20 minutes tonight and we're 0-0. Exactly, you've got someone suddenly who might just make that little bit of magic. Look at what he set up against like Fulham, the 2 pre-assists. That's what we're missing, and it's because our best players are not playing. So let's not all be like doom and gloom. I'm certainly not doom and gloom. I'm disappointed that we didn't win the game. I'm disappointed we were out. In fact, with 5 minutes to go, I was preparing myself for which disappointments I was going to have: losing with a late goal or losing on penalties. And it just happened that it was a late goal. I mean, I was preparing myself for one of them. But that was it, isn't it? We are in a situation where I think I've seen an interview before with Michael Keane. I was doing an interview for Premier League Productions, and they played a VT of Michael Keane, and he just said, we all feel like we're in the right place, but it might take another year. And that's sort of like where my mindset is at the moment, is that you can see it's there, but it's not there, because the squad is just, to be a top side, you've got to have depth. You've got to look to your bench and worry the opposition with your bench. You've got to be able to worry your own side. When you see players are going to, let's be honest, like Richarlison run through brick walls for us. You can't say, he doesn't get in. Mad things happen like that tonight where he gets a concussion. The lad's wants to go on the pitch. He probably doesn't know what country he's in.
No, he doesn't know where he's
but he's like, you can't help that kind of thing. That happens on the pitch now and again. But when you bring Bernard on, you're just like, well, there goes 50%.
Do you think he should have put Gordon on there?
Do you know what I think it was almost? Do you know when when you're playing PES, right, and you get that option for the quick sub, and you're always pressed the wrong button by accident? I think it was a bit like that. I just think he went, Bernard, you're the close. I can see you. I can't even remember the ginger kid's name. Honestly, I don't know. Listen, I've seen it again tonight. People, whether rightly or wrongly, people want to see Anthony Gordon. People are desperate to see Anthony Gordon. People think he could make a difference. I actually said in my funny enough, I said in one of my videos that I thought maybe it should have been Gordon. I was criticised for that because we had criticised people for calling for Gordon. But I just thought with 25 minutes to go at home in a 0-0 tie at Goodison Park with fans in there, I think Gordon's reaction would have been better than Bernard's. That's purely on emotion. I don't know whether football people factor in emotion. We do, because we're fans. We always say we talk with our hearts, not our heads. Does the manager factor in that emotion of what that kid could do? Because sometimes football decisions are made like that. Would Ben Godfrey have ever got on our side at left back if it wasn't for an injury to Delph and it just happened that on that day he probably thought I'll play your left back? I don't think he would have. Sometimes that happens in football. You stumble, don't you? And maybe Anthony Gordon coming on there, that's the little thing he needs. I don't know. I'm not going to go against Carlo. I think that we're hyping Gordon up because we want him to be something that we haven't got. That's not always the case. Listen, we've watched enough footballers to know that's definitely not the case. It's definitely not the case.
No, I'm certainly not having a go with Carlo for it. I'm just saying, do you think Gordon might have been a better option than Bernard? And I'm someone who's defended Bernard and really like him as a footballer. I just think, even you talk about Gomez in his first season, how good he was. Look at Bernard. In that first season, he was a real threat going forward. He was running, you'd run it, you'd get your head down and go. Now, it's all safe. Everything's dead safe. It's get a touch, turn, pass it back. Get a touch. We had one in the second half, late on, so it's 0-0. We have the ball, it's worked out wide to Bernard. And he turns back, which is fine, and then it's like, right, throw the ball into the box now. And he knocks it back, and all of a sudden, it's back with Olsen in 2 passes because we've gone back to the halfway line, and then they press us, and it goes back to the goalkeeper. And you're like, we had that on the edge of their box. That should have been whipped in to see if Dom can get something on it. And we've seen that in the first half. We had. If you think back to once we survived that opening 25, in that first half, Gilfeed went on the first run and he went round about 4 men. He just couldn't. I think his shot got blocked. And then Michael Keeman on a great run and got us a free kick. And, Sigurdsson, it's a cracking free kick for once. And Henderson makes a great save from it. But other than that, we didn't really create anything of any note. I know, after the 25 minutes, they didn't either. But for us as the home side, because too many times when we got in decent areas and you're thinking, throw it across, we made the wrong decision. Well, we had one where... Go on.
No, go on, continue.
I was going to say, we had one where we broke and it come to Richarlison. It's like, if you just lay it, Sigurdsson went wide, and you're thinking, thread it to Sigurdsson and carry on your run and he'll give it back.
Do you think Richarlison's suffering from a confidence issue? Because he had one in that second half at the Gladys Street end where he had it on the left and he cut in and he got it on his right foot, and I thought, just hit this, and then he turned back again, but he had nowhere to go. And I'm just thinking, you got it on, because we were talking about the game on Saturday, where he did the same thing, but he touched it too soft and he gave the defender a chance to clear it, which he did for a corner. But he actually got inside the fullback tonight, and he just, instead of hitting it, he checked back. And I was thinking, what are you doing? That's not like you. So I don't know whether it is like a crisis of confidence with Richarlison. I don't know. I really don't. I know he's not at the levels at all, and nowhere near the levels.
Maybe it is confidence. Maybe he's feeling. Don't forget, right? He come to us with, Marco Silva signed him, and he come into us, and he scored goals straight away. Yeah. That first season at Watford, he'd only scored 5 goals, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't think he'd scored from Christmas onwards. And he come in, and obviously he got 2 at Wolves day 1 and hit the ground running, and then we looked to him, and he was really good, and the manager played him through the middle, and everything was great. And then last season, done really well. Dunk put him up front with Dom. He played in a 4-4-2 and he scored a lot of goals. And then this season, he started off playing well. Day 1, he could have had 2 at Tottenham. He just hit a couple wide. but he was doing well, you know, involved, playing really well, not getting the goals, but doing well. And then obviously the sending off knocked him a bit. He got a bit of an injury. The sending off.
Don't forget he missed a month of football.
Yeah. And he's just come back. He came back against Fulham, didn't he? But within a couple of minutes, well, within 40 seconds, we'd seen the threat he is when he set Dom's goal up. So there's little bits you can see it coming back, but he's not at his level. And I think you're right. I think he's someone, because he's now in the Brazil side, he's someone who takes not scoring goals he's taking it now as if, like, I wonder if they'll think I'm not doing as well or whatever. And I think he's piling pressure on himself.
I think there's something there. I think he's still working as hard. I don't think you can criticise him for that. It's just that his end product just isn't happening. Whether he doesn't like the position, I don't know, or I don't know what it is. He just doesn't look happy within himself. He's fighting for everything. You've seen that, but he's fighting to get back on the pitch and made up. Someone grabbed him and took him down the stairs. But it's mad. Let's just talk about. Go on. Go on, because
we got in at half time. It was 0-0, and you're thinking, right, okay. We dragged ourselves back into this game because the first 25 was one-sided, wasn't it?
Yeah, where did the storm?
I was saying to my dad at half-time, well, the best thing about that is I thought after about 10 minutes we were going to be 3-0 down at the break, and we're not. And now, if we can nick a goal, I'm confident we can defend. And we came out the second half, and they didn't really do anything either. Everything was just played in the middle of the park, really. They didn't really cause us any issues. It was getting niggly.
Yeah.
We looked like we might have a counter-attack in us. That one you're talking about where Richarlison gets it. You're thinking, let's get a couple more of those situations. There was just one over-hit to Gylfi. There was one with Iwobi where he couldn't get Coleman in. He should have played it inside. And then we had the Coleman one where he tried to play Dom in and he should have gone to Gylfi. Yeah. So we had those moments where it was almost coming off for us.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, if we can just get a set play or something, we might nick this. And I was even thinking to myself, if we win it, okay, it won't be a great performance, and we're not going to get away with this week after week after week, but it's momentum.
Yeah.
And then obviously we lost to Richarlison, and that changed the game a little bit. But although they still didn't really do anything.
Well, you've just nailed it though. There, it was the last. This reminds me of last year. In terms of when we had Dunk, when we had those games, and every game we just got a little bit less and less and less. And we had the Leicester game, which obviously we drew 2-2, but then he beat us on pens. And we get to the Saturday, we played Arsenal, and both teams were just happy to get a draw out of it simply. And you've seen the last couple of games, Arsenal, the last sort of 15 to 10 minutes or whatever, last 5 minutes, we're dropping off a little. We didn't quite have that threat going forward. And tonight we had there for long periods where the fatigue starting to kick in. You're trying to play the same way, but the fatigue just won't let you, I don't think. Or you've run out of ideas, or you've run out of options from the bench, or you haven't got Richarlison. So they are the same kind of performances. And we're not kidding ourselves. We're not saying any of the 3 wins were amazing. They were good defensive displays. Going forward, they weren't. We got our goals. But we haven't really too much of a glove on them, certainly in the second half of a couple of the games. So tonight it was just felt like they just had that little thing, and we knew they had that little thing. Do you know what I mean? There's you only have to look like when they brought up for Solskjaer, they must have been flying confidence wise in terms of away wins. So they're looking at it going, they're never scoring against us here, because we didn't look like scoring. And if it'd been the other way round, we'd be the same. We'd be thinking they're never going to score, and I've got these coming off the bench. We'll get this, don't worry. We hang on. We've got that mentality of a Man United who score late goals. Even when they got the goal, there's 3 minutes to go. 3 minutes to go and we've got the ball. It's all rush, 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 rush. They get the ball, someone just runs into midfield, no one goes near him, and he plays a ball to Cavani. His first touch is fantastic, by the way. Sends Ben Godfrey the wrong way, and this is the problem when you have actually got people playing fullback who aren't fullbacks. Is Cavani's world class. He just shifts his body with one touch, gets on his left foot, and bang, it's a goal. And that's the difference. They were in no hurry. Even with 3 minutes to go, they were in no hurry because they had quality and they had assurance in them, confidence in themselves. Where with us, we're blowing out of our arse. We're down to the bare bones. They're not. They're bringing their first teamers on to win them a game with 10 minutes to go. That's the difference, isn't it? That pure having that little, people can scoff with Cavani, but that's what they bought him for, to have him in games like that. That little bit of class.
Hell, I'd love to have him.
That first touch was unbelievable, by the way.
Well, it was. Listen, I agree with you. I mean, I think the touch probably would have struck everyone because he just took it across him. And what he does really well with the finish is he doesn't give anyone a chance to get set. It's inside and he's hit it, so Olsen can't get set, and it's right in.
Oh, it doesn't drop.
So, no, that's what I mean. And what I'm saying with us is we had opportunities in the first half to get shots away on the second half, and it's trying to get it almost perfect before the kick it, whereas he took a touch and gone bang, and before you know it, it's passing, you're 1-0 down. And then we still, 5 minutes injury time, we had opportunities to put the right ball into the box. I think we had a corner and we took it short and Sigurdsson floated it in. And the keeper takes it instead of firing it in. Then we had the one with Bernard when he done a nice little turn and got brought down. And again, the same thing.
Yeah.
That ball should be fizzed in where it can take a flick. And it could end up in the net. And we missed those opportunities. And you're right, they never once. That was the difference. And I don't know whether it's because they've won 10 Premier League games away from home. They've won every away game this season. And I don't know whether it's that confidence of, like you said, of knowing that you've got good players, that he didn't snatch at things. No. And they just went through the gears and gone to Martial, he knocked it, Cavani scores, and then they soak up the pressure from us, Tosin give the ball away. And very much like the league game, they break down the other end and kill the game off. Yeah. You're left to root, opportunities. But to be honest, Ped, I'm disappointed, but I'm not gutted, and I'll tell you why I'm not totally losing it. Because when you look at the squads there, I just didn't have the belief that this team is good enough to win this trophy when City is still in it.
Well,
when the likes of City and Spurs.
Well, Man United drew City, didn't he?
Yeah. Listen, it is what it is. I'm looking at Saturday now with more emphasis on it. It'll be difficult for all the reasons you said before. Those players are running on empty.
Yeah. But it's up to the manager. It's up to the manager, isn't it? Now, he's going to have to roll the dice on some of these players. He's going to have to make decisions, because what's the point in having a player who might be 50% when you could have an Anthony Gordon who's at 100%, who wants to make an impression, who wants to do something? Surely this is the time when you've got to start making those decisions about the squad. If you don't fancy certain players, you don't fancy, a Tosin, or you have to play Tosin, then get an El Sims on the bench, or Yango or someone like that. Whoever, you know what I mean? You have to start rolling the dice. This is the time. We're in a nice little position in the Premier League. We've coming off the back of 3 wins. There doesn't seem any point in flogging players till, they're gone. And maybe that was the point all along. Maybe he thought, I'll play a few of the first teamers tonight, see what they've got left, and if they haven't, then we've got 3 Premier League games coming up in the next week, and we're going to have to move a few people around for that, because it's very clear people are struggling a little bit at the moment. So, and that's might be again why he's left James Rodriguez. It might have been a case of like what we said when he played against Southampton, where it was like, he was 75% fit, played the game but didn't really make an impact, whereas on Saturday against Sheffield United he might be 100% fit and makes a huge impact, because that team tonight really could have done with a 100% James Rodriguez, but clearly he's not fit. Yeah,
no, absolutely right. And maybe Saturday will be like Mason Holgate's missed out tonight, but maybe on Saturday he'll either be back in at right back, or he will try him in midfield and try and put some legs in there to compete. So yeah, you're right. He's got some difficult calls to make now, because obviously I know he said he's got no regrets about going out tonight for the way we played and stuff. But if we can get a win on Saturday, then we'll be sitting pretty, then won't we, with City to come on the Monday, because the games are coming thick and fast now.
Just before we wrap up, what did you make of, obviously we didn't have VAR tonight, and I felt like the referee was almost didn't know how to referee the game properly because there wasn't any VAR. It was dead weird. There was a few occasions where things just seemed to stand out, and yet he just completely missed them. There was one in the second half where Cavani clearly handballed it, and got through, and nearly, I think we had to make a save from it. It's like, loads of really like stupid things that in the old days would have been spotted. I mean, all right, the Cavani one with his hand around me in his neck. I mean, I don't know what VAR would have made of that, but there was definitely something in it, wasn't there? So I thought that, and I thought the Richarlison incident, I thought that was really poor by the ref tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? It must have been weird because they have been used to having someone else watching it, haven't they? And being able to have their input in it. And you seen Fernandes, he put a bit of a naughty tackle in on someone, and then he shoves Richarlison and puts him in danger.
How does he get away with it every game?
You know, and he gets away with it. And then the Cavani one, and listen, there wasn't much in the Cavani one, but he put his hands around me in his throat and pushed him to the floor. It's a red card, you can't raise your arms. You know, I'm not sat here going, if only the ref had done this and that, but it would have been very interesting with VAR to see how some of those decisions might have changed. Yeah. But listen, we didn't have it, and you know, it's one of those things, and I think I've just come out of it with, you know, just more emphasis, like I say, on Saturday now, and just think, if we can win Saturday, then we keep going, and until we can produce equal quality or near enough coming off the bench to like squads like United, then there's a chance we will lose out in these big games because they can roll the dice and still have that quality. At the minute, we can't. And who's to say with a fully fit team we wouldn't have beaten them? We don't know.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Squad's much better. The stats: we had 3 shots on target, they had 8. 3 shots off target, they had 7. Possession 39% to their 61%. 4 corners to their 8. I think they had 5 corners in the first 10 minutes. Yeah. 8 fouls each. They got 4 yellow cards. We didn't have any yellow cards. So yeah, just a bad night. I know a lot of people believe, you know, Everton were beaten in the tunnel and there wasn't, and maybe there was a case of that. Maybe there was a case of there just wasn't enough. I don't know, aggression from the start, but I don't know. I'm not in the changing room. I don't know who dictates that, where that comes from. Might have just
been a game too many.
Yeah.
Might have just been a game too many at the end of the day. Big games, you know. It's not like we had a game where we could take our foot off the pedal. We've had 4 big clubs with big squads in the last 10 days, and we're 3 or 4 men down, as well as, you know. So listen, if you'd have offered me 3 wins and a defeat and then 4 games, I'd have took them. You know what? Maybe I'd have took them in the order we got them in. I don't know, because I just feel like who did they get in the draw?
They got City.
So I wouldn't be that confident we'd get past City.
It is I know. They have got them at home.
I know. That's all I'm saying. There's always a chance, of course there is. And listen, see, like Kane had said to me before, worse teams than us have won it. But I just feel like until we can't call on people off the bench who are game changers, then these games will always be probably us at the minute relying on a little bit of the rub of the green rather than us being able to rely on our ability. So disappointing.
It is very disappointing. There you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let us know. This has been a stripped back version of the final words, due to, of course, it being Christmas Eve. Let us know your thoughts. As I said, give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. If you want more great videos, join us over on Patreon. There'll be a link in the description, and there'll be a link down here as well. Nice one. Thank you for watching. See you later.